How do you do? We're about to unfold the story of Frankenstein. He's one of the strangest tales ever told. I think it will thrill you. It may shock you. It might even horrify you. Well, we've warned you.
You have been warned. Welcome back to the Frankenstein Minute, where we dissect the Universal Frankenstein film series minute by minute. I'm Tom Lang.
And I'm Bill Evenson. And this is minute 12 of 1931 Frankenstein, where Elizabeth has already read the letter.
Yep.
And now they're talking about Henry.
Talking about Henry, and she asked previously on Frankenstein Minute, she asked if Victor had seen Henry.
Which seems like even to ask the question seems odd.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because she starts off saying, "Oh, I haven't heard from him first time in 4 months."
Mm-hmm.
Oh, well, I just saw him a couple weeks ago.
Yeah. What's the
We
big
just
deal?
had lunch.
Yep.
What?
Yeah, exactly.
We were in Subway.
No, he saw him walking alone in the woods. Which is interesting. Trying to picture that. Henry's got some downtime when he's not grave robbing.
I know. Yeah, it's
3 weeks ago.
It's a little clumsy. I think it's a little dramatically a little clumsy.
It's odd.
Yeah.
Can't imagine this at all. Can't imagine either of these things happening. Victor going for a walk in the woods and bumping into Henry.
Yeah.
Does he live in Goldstadt then? Does Victor live in Goldstadt?
They don't really talk about it because again in the script this letter is from Waldman.
Yeah, right.
Which would make more sense for him to bump into Henry walking in the woods. I would think. I think it makes most sense for Fritz to bump into him, but Fritz, isn't gonna.
It's not writing the letter.
Not writing the letter. Not sitting in Chateau Frankenstein right now,
That's right.
Having a snifter and sharing his memories.
Poor Fritz.
Poor Fritz.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There's no love.
No. This is a talky scene,
Mm-hmm.
like you see a lot of in early 30s movies.
Mm-hmm.
There's a lot of them in Dracula. Here we
That's
go.
true.
We're going to get out our brick bats and start bashing it again.
Yep,
but
here we go again.
There's a lot to bash.
Do you think maybe you forgive some of that in the Spanish version because it's a little bit more exotic because you don't speak Spanish? Or maybe you do speak Spanish.
I don't, but
I feel like that's something that's
it might
true if
be.
I watch a foreign film,
you're a little
film.
more forgiving.
I'm reading it, it's just different.
It's got a little more dynamic quality to it. Yeah. That's very, very possible. But I think it's also photographed and edited better.
Yeah, that's true.
As is Frankenstein.
Obviously.
This scene, but my point I was going to make is that it's a very talky scene, yet he does things like putting the two of them behind the piano with Henry's portrait front and center in the middle of the frame.
Right.
Some
thought is put in.
Yeah, there's some panning, there's some tracking, things like that.
Mm-hmm.
So it's not just people standing there sitting at a card table talking,
Right.
It's, he makes an attempt at least. And, he comes from the stage, so he's used to directing actors to do their blocking like that. So I think some of that comes through.
Yeah. So when once he's worked out the blocking, well, maybe, I don't know what order that comes in. Maybe the stage dressing is before the blocking, I suppose, probably. It's probably a little bit of back and forth.
I think it's a little of both, yeah. It depends.
Yeah.
But, I hey, get me an 8x10 of Colin, we'll put it right there.
A photograph, not a portrait, again. But
right.
We already talked about that.
Yeah. So that of course then brings up what era is this?
Mm-hmm.
Because there's photography. There don't appear to be telephones.
Mm-mm.
Just an electrical machine at this point.
That's right.
There don't appear to be... there's electricity.
There's quite a bit of
that. But
but there's candles.
There's candles. There's candles on the piano.
Now we're skipping to the end of the minute, but the maid comes carrying a candelabra down the stairs, and it's what's the word I want? It's just like spooky old castle stuff.
Yeah.
Pretty cool.
It's the old dark house kind of thing.
Old dark house kind of stuff. Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
And of course, then Victor has to go and blow it all
Yeah.
by being a complete lox. And,
Yeah.
oh, I'd go to the ends of the earth for you.
Well, yeah, I think one of the great things about that is the way Elizabeth completely shuts him down.
Yeah.
Elizabeth is perfect about that.
Yeah.
She completely innocently says, "Oh,
I shouldn't like that. I'm far too fond
far
of you."
too fond of you. I wish you were." And he does it in an awful, creepy way. His
Yeah.
head, he kind of moves
Well,
his
yeah,
head a little.
only
bit,
that
shakes his
mustache
head. I
doesn't
wish
help.
Yeah, the mustache
The
isn't
Cesar
helping.
Romero mustache isn't helping.
And she just completely, she says
She's
one word about
Victor.
that topic.
She's
Victor. And then she turns around, and goes
It
to
goes
the
and
door,
opens the door.
and it's all handshakes and thank you, Victor, thank you.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's
It's-
everything
yeah.
has completely changed.
Well, that's
and this is let's face it, how women women's lives are like this.
Yes, they
guys
are.
are creeps, and this guy is being creepy,
Yeah.
and there's nothing unusual going on here.
It's
this is how guys.
But it shows again. I think I made the point earlier when we were talking about Mae Clark in the cast, how she's a little feistier than
Mhm.
most of the 30s heroine romantic lead female characters. She's got a little more fire to her.
Her character's great.
Yeah.
She's
She
I've
shuts
got
him
more
down.
to say about it.
Yeah,
in the
Later
next few
on,
minutes.
she takes over, and
But yeah, I guess this is it. We're just introduced to her.
yeah,
This is pretty early on in,
Yeah.
in Elizabeth's thing here, and yeah, she's definitely
she's like, yeah, okay, time to go.
definitely taking care of
Oh,
what
is it-
she needs to do.
Oh,
Yeah.
is that the time? Sorry, oh, thanks for coming by.
She also says, I noticed she says, "Oh, if he should be ill," which I think is really a really telling thing because after everything that's in that letter, that's
Mhm.
gonna elicit concern from her, and that I kind of joked about the assistant not having a gender or whatever.
Right.
Her concern is concern for Henry.
Yeah.
There's no jealousy there. There's no mistrust of
No.
any kind.
No.
Yeah. She's committed to this.
Well, and ill could be taken to mean a couple different things.
That's
too.
true. That's true.
Later on, I have some stuff to say about
That's true.
that.
But also, if he should be ill in an abandoned old watchtower
Watchtower,
on the outskirts
yeah,
of Goldstadt
working
with
by
Fritz
himself
there
with
to
his
rub Vapo rub on him or whatever.
yeah,
Make him chicken soup.
yeah.
Well, we still haven't gotten to the watchtower, but it's
No.
I just really like that. Yeah,
Yeah, no, she's kind of a hard ass. She's yeah.
that's true.
Yeah.
She's not messing around.
Throughout, she's very strong.
Hmm.
Unlike the character as portrayed in the sequel, which I think
Mhm.
is why it was recast.
Yeah, that's probably true. That
Yeah.
makes sense. Yeah, she's not the same.
Not
Not really the same character.
Not really the same
Yeah.
character, but yeah, if you watch the two back to back, it's very jarring for
Yeah.
a vast number of reasons,
Yeah,
which
there
we'll
are a
get
few
to.
things right.
Yeah.
Right off the bat, it's
Yeah.
a different
Yeah,
dynamic in the Frankenstein household.
Right.
Definitely.
Yeah.
But
Yeah,
yeah,
so-
Bowles is definitely American. The way he delivers his lines.
Yeah.
The one that
manner was
sticks
very
out to me is-
strange.
yeah, his manner was very.
Very strange.
He says, "I'll go speak to Dr. Waldman. Henry's a professor in medical school." He just sounds like he's like in a western.
I think he's from like Texas or
Yeah.
something.
He's in a
and
western.
he-
And
well,
he's not in this movie.
Look at his resume on IMDb.
It's in
mostly
westerns.
westerns,
He
yeah,
probably
so-
does a bang up job. of
I'm
those.
sure and he sang in them. So
Yeah.
why he's here, I don't know.
I guess I have to assume it's the 1931 equivalent of what they assume to be star power, which it's pretty silly.
Yeah.
But he does have that star on
He
Walk
do-
of
he
Hall of
does,
Fame.
he
He's
does.
billed third. I mean, that's the evidence, right?
Yep. I don't believe the actor who ultimately was cast as the monster even has a star on the
Well, there
Hollywood
you
Walk
go.
of Fame.
See, this guy's pretty
Oh,
important.
no, he does.
He's going to bring them in.
He does. I take
Okay.
that back. He's got
All right.
he's got a couple.
Got a couple.
Now that I
Okay,
think about
good.
But
Talking about Lugosi? Is that who we're
yeah,
talking about?
yeah,
Okay,
yeah.
sure. Also, when he says Dr. Waldman, that's the first mention, I believe, of Dr. Waldman.
we've seen him.
but we didn't
We
know
didn't
who he
know
was.
his name. Yeah.
So now we've got that. This interesting way to introduce a character. We see him.
Well, there is some
we
shuffling.
leave.
There is some shuffling of scenes here
Ah, yes.
because this originally occurred before
Okay.
Waldman giving the speech about the brains and Fritz stealing it.
That's right.
We talked about that because it was a better edit when we need a fresh brain,
Yeah.
and then we go into the scene.
Right into it. Yeah.
This scene it initially followed that when they cut the man down off of the gibbet, the
Right.
neck's broken. It went into this scene and then went to
Okay.
Well, then there's actually a little cursory thing that was cut where Victor is introduced to Waldman as Henry's friend, and he has the letter to show him.
Okay.
Totally unnecessary. And
Yeah,
of course,
right.
at that point, Elizabeth didn't go with. It was
Okay.
just Victor.
Now that's interesting.
Yeah.
Because what we were just talking about, Elizabeth is. We're going to talk about it for the next few minutes.
Yeah.
Elizabeth is a driving force.
Yeah,
Elizabeth
she's very
is making
headstrong.
things happen here.
She gets shit done.
Yeah.
Yeah. And they go out of the little study or whatever that is that they're in into this huge. These sets are great.
Yeah.
These sets are amazing, and
they had a lot of space to work in.
Yeah.
Yeah. And
Yeah,
did they not have as much space for Dracula, or do they not care?
There again.
Also, some of them are big and gorgeous too, I guess.
Yeah, but they're
some
just
of the best sets in horror film history are the beginning of Dracula. So I shouldn't totally trash it.
But there are some really nice sets that aren't very well used in it.
Yeah, exactly.
The bed chamber that Dracula brings Renfield to. You don't see it that well in the Browning version. You see a lot of it in the Spanish one, the Carfax Abbey. There's a great set with this busted up staircase, and you see stills of it, but it's not in the movie.
Yeah, right.
Whereas this uses these sets to their full advantage.
Right.
We cut to this really wide shot, and the whole scene, I believe, plays out in this whole wide shot in the hallway, which is coming up, but it starts briefly in this minute and then continues on.
Yeah.
Where she insists on going with, which is Whale inserted her into that.
Right.
She wasn't in that scene initially.
Right. Well, she doesn't. Well, at the end of this, okay. So the way it plays out, the way I read it anyway, is Victor's a little condescending at the end. Now, don't worry. It's a very common man talking to a woman in the 30s. Yeah, it's okay.
It's okay, Pumpkin. I got this.
Pumpkin. And it's great the way Elizabeth reacts to that, because they've, like you said, these couple of minutes here are just exposition. They're just story points.
Yeah.
But there's enough going on in them after she just shut him down. She just says, Victor.
Yeah.
And the door is over here. Have I shown you this door?
Yeah.
And then he turns around and says, now don't worry. And she says, I won't. And then she takes about a breath.
Yeah, not even. And she's like, I'm on this.
If it's 3 seconds, it's a short 3 seconds before she's completely changed her mind. Yeah.
Exactly.
As opposed to Victor, who bumps into Henry in the woods.
Yeah, and
doesn't
think to, well, Elizabeth might want to know.
Yeah, doesn't think
She's sitting at home worrying for 4 months. Oh, yeah, by the way, guess who I saw? Yeah,
I think it'll be interesting. It's hard to tell who Victor is for sure. But I think by the end of the movie, we'll know. We'll know
exactly who he is.
At this point, it's like, what on earth's going on with these people? This isn't it's like a kind of love triangle.
It is, I think it's supposed to be, but it doesn't really.
But Elizabeth just shuts it down immediately.
She shuts it down. I don't think it's material that Whale was particularly interested in.
Right.
So he tweaked it to make it that much more interesting by making her, that much more headstrong. Mm-hmm. The driving force there.
Right.
She shuts Victor down. She shuts Henry down.
Right.
She doesn't take crap,
That's right.
She's feisty.
She acquits herself very well.
She does.
As we'll see in future minutes.
Yeah, but unlike I can't think of another female character from the early 30s like that that is that take charge.
Yeah.
She's very progressive.
Well, now you got me thinking about that.
Well,
when is the 30s? There are some.
When is the 30s?
When is the 30s? Like, what movies are in the 30s? Well, when is what's Bringing Up Baby?
That was the late 30s.
Yeah.
It was 39. I'm talking like pre-code, the Lemley era horror movies.
Are there women in those? Yeah, I mean, if you look at the women in Dracula. Actually, another reason the Spanish Dracula's a little better.
The women are, a little more.
They're at least people.
Right. Helen Chandler is just sort of this cipher.
Yeah, nothing going on there at all.
I think
she's the John Bowles. Actually,
she's the John Bowles of.
Yeah. They're all the John Bowles.
Yeah, the whole.
You got David Manners. Actually, he isn't too bad.
David Manners is okay.
He's okay.
Yeah. He did enough of them. He earned his chops.
That's right. That's right.
But Helen Chandler just does nothing.
Yeah. She only works when she's supposed to be creepy.
Yeah. Then she's okay.
Because
I think she kind of was creepy in real life. But,
that's right.
The other one, what's the
Unlike
other?
Mae Clark.
Mae Clark was feisty her whole life.
Yeah.
What's the other one?
Fruit in her face. And, she never looked back.
Never looked back. It's another movie where she's dragged around by her hair. Jeez. I can't remember the name of it, but Yeah, and unfortunately, her career was derailed shortly, a few years after this by alcoholism, some depression.
Yeah.
She was institutionalized a couple times. She had a really horrific traffic accident that she thought her face was going to be disfigured. It didn't. I don't notice it because I've seen her in stuff throughout the 40s and 50s, and she looks the same.
Yeah.
Like I said, she's even in a couple episodes of Batman. I mean, she got around.
Yeah.
She worked her whole life, but she should have had a much bigger career than she did.
Yeah.
Based not just on this performance, but Waterloo Bridge. She's absolutely amazing. Break your heart.
Yeah.
Nana is another one. She's like this sort of pseudo-lesbian prostitute. She's great. She's just in a couple scenes, but she owns them.
That's cool.
She owns them, yeah.
I mean, even just in this minute, it's one of these great, and there will be more of these to come. You get to see her. It's just her and John Bowles.
Yeah.
And that should be terrible for everybody.
Yeah.
Because it's John Bowles, and he's just going to destroy everything. But she manages to acquit herself well.
She owns these scenes.
Like I said, there's just I say, like, it's interesting because I sort of dismissed it that she only has one word to say about the topic that he brought up, and that word is just Victor.
But it's
the
enough.
look. It's the way she does it. Yeah. Absolutely. Yeah.
It's got that gravity. Like,
she owns this scene.
Oh, you didn't go there.
Yeah. Yeah. And I suppose Whale probably was happy with that.
Oh, yeah.
He wants that to play out about like that. He doesn't particularly care what Bowles is up to.
No, I get the impression that he really didn't
realize he was in the film.
Didn't even, yeah. Oh, yeah.
Oh.
Yeah, that guy.
We
shot that with him? Okay.
Mr. Whale, we've been shooting for weeks. Oh.
All right.
All right, do another one. Do another take. No, I said just say, his experiments. You got it?
His manner was very strange.
Experiments. His manner was very strange.
Very strange.
He's got. I mean,
we're gonna get sued by John Bowles' family.
Well, yeah, they did get that star on Hollywood Fame. Walk of Fame.
They did.
His family.
Somebody's...
You gotta assume that his family. Yeah, I guess I shouldn't assume anything. When did they start the Hollywood Walk of Fame? Maybe he got that in 1931.
I don't know when they started that, actually.
I guess I picture it being later, but it probably isn't. It's probably
yeah. Well, maybe. If anybody knows, write us here at The Long Dead Studios. And
just put a letter in an envelope.
Keep those cards and letters coming.
Yeah. Or tweet us.
Tweet us. But the set I was talking about earlier, it's this huge set, and they use it later on, but it doesn't need to be this big, huge cavernous set, but it is.
Right.
It looks great. It's got those beams kind of jutting through.
Mm-hmm.
It's this very expressionistic, almost looks like a silent movie set, like from Germany, from a Murnau or something like that. Shows the amount of inspiration that Whale drew from. He pulled all this stuff and put his personal stamp on it.
Yep. I don't know. Maybe I have an ignorance of film, but there's a kind of school of thought that Citizen Kane is sort of the first modern film. And like everything that comes after Citizen Kane is different than everything that came before.
Yeah,
and one of the things is the use of the set. When he goes to film and Wells always, when he went to film a scene, he was aware of what he was filming.
Right.
And that's what we definitely see with Whale.
Yeah, I think, don't get me wrong, I think Citizen Kane is a fantastic movie. It's one of the greatest. But I think its influence has been a little overstated, certainly through the 70s and 80s.
Yeah.
It was the movie.
Right.
It was the first time you saw ceilings in a... No, that's not true.
You don't see a ceiling here.
Don't see a ceiling. Well, you sort of do.
You do be way up there.
You do later when they're getting there's a ceiling later on, but certainly Maltese Falcon you see ceilings.
Yeah,
it's not done the same way. It's not used for the same effect that Wells did, but
well, I think if Wells was here, from what I've seen a lot of interviews with him, he's a pretty entertaining interview. So
he's quite the raconteur.
That was kind of his deal. And at the end of his life, he was on Merv Griffin and all that stuff all the time.
Yeah.
But I think he would say that he'd probably agree with you that it isn't so much its influence, but what you might be able to say about it is it's an accumulation of everything that came before.
Mm-hmm.
And there's no John Bowles in it. You know what I mean? So there's every
No,
movie
there's
has its
Everett
faults, and that one
Sloan,
it's
but
hard.
you know.
Yeah.
But I think
Now we're gonna trash Citizen Kane.
We are. Here we go. We're
God.
gonna keep those cards and letters coming, kids.
Citizen Kane minute. Next one.
Well, I'm going to trash Murders in the Rue Morgue and Robert Florey.
Yeah.
Because the difference, I think, is taking your influence is what you do with it.
Yeah.
And what Whale does with this expressionism, serves the purpose of the story.
Definitely.
Where what Florey does with it in Murders in the Rue Morgue is just a bunch of artsy-fartsy gobbledygook that doesn't propel it. It's just, we reference the stupid shot on the swing, for God's sake. What? Really?
Yeah.
It's just all this artifice.
Yeah.
Whereas this, I think, the painted shadows that we'll see later in the Watchtower and all that, it all comes from Caligari or German Expressionism, but he takes it to another level. I think he really integrates it into the environment.
Yeah.
It's not just the trappings that are stuck on a so-so story.
Yeah. In comparison to Caligari, we watch Caligari and we love it, but we don't watch it and think it's a real place.
No.
It's not meant to look like a real place. Everything in this movie looks like it could be
an actual place. Yeah.
A hell of a place. Yeah. But it's
not
it could be a real place.
Yeah, not necessarily the place you want to be, but
definitely. And it's different than, maybe because I watch the Frankenstein movies too much, but it's different than what we see later.
Oh, it's very different from what we'll see later.
And everything we've seen so far too is the tone of it is all. It's very serious, and
there's
some funny stuff.
Yeah,
but it's very serious. We're not taking it lightly what Henry's up to. Although, as you say,
we don't even know.
All right.
Okay, then. Tune in.
Follow us on Facebook.
Sure, why not?
Spine-tingling, nerve-shattering podcast featuring all your favorite monsters. You won't believe your ears when you listen to Monster Kid Radio. Here your host, Derek M. Cook, and his ever-rotating stable of guests discuss your favorite classic and sometimes not-so-classic monster movies. Subscribe to Monster Kid Radio through iTunes or Stitcher, or visit MonsterKidRadio.net before the next weekly episode of Monster Kid Radio. Go through the archives for interviews with Sarah Karloff, Victoria Price, and Joel Hodgson. Listen to discussions about movies like Creature from the Black Lagoon, Island of Terror, and King Kong. And don't forget convention coverage from Monster Bash and the H.P. Lovecraft Film Festival. Classic monsters, modern talk, and the head of Rondo Hatton. Only on Monster Kid Radio.